youth and other peoples of our country to make their career in. MSME, though, seems to be a very small abbreviation, but it has a very big impact, because micro, small, medium enterprises is what it is doing is just commendable, because it is providing employment opportunities and entrepreneurship opportunities. While we are creating new ventures, we are also providing jobs to many of them into the venture. So it is directly or indirectly providing a great impact on the economy of country and also creating socio-economic development for India. So we are here with us. Our session chair is Shri Ravindra ji, who is the former CMD of NSIC, and we proudly say that he is the present chairman MSME sector for ICSI. And with him, we have Shri Uttam Ganguly ji. He is the managing director, Ben Joints Private Limited, with us for today's program. Moving ahead, no words to say more for ICSI, proudly associated with this chamber, who is a link, who is giving platform to the 31 million overseas NRIs to give helping hands to all the Indians and to the brothers and sisters of India to empower themselves in whatsoever manner through making education relevant. We have seen that during lockdown, there are so many things that have gone into silent mode, and businesses are out of mark, and everything has been affected. Business affected, physical and mental health is affected, and deep down education affected. So, but all these negativity, we have seen one positive side of COVID is that we have also got our National Education Policy 2020 in this particular time period, that is on 29th of July. And we are thankful to the Education Minister of our country, as well as he has been guided by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. Now, the one component that I see in national education policy is apart from the basic education, the regular education that we are going, national education policy have given emphasis on vocational educations as well into the mainstream of education, and that will be very helpful to create skills development, to create entrepreneurship opportunities and various enterprises. So when we say skills, so I think, in my opinion, and in what I believe is knowledge, skills are far ahead than knowledge. No doubt, no problem if you don't have knowledge of a particular thing. You can get it. You can get it by the passage of time. But it is more important that you should have skills, right skills and competencies to live and to grow in today's world. Now, when we say skills, so skills can be of different types. Skills can be hard skills, skills can be soft skills, and even skills can be life skills. So these are very important, and this efforts of ours to bring MSME every week to you in the form of webinar series along with Shri Ravindra ji, we really want that you should stress, you should not take any stress, and you should focus on your skills development. That is very, very important for growth in the life. And with that, you can build and you can contribute towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, and you can contribute towards Startup India, Stand Up India, and Make in India. Entrepreneurship ventures, startups, and stand-ups. And in that, for all of your knowledge and for all of your skills to grow, Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises is there. You can go there and you can see all their programs and their schemes for entrepreneurship development for youth and others in India. Along with that, there is also one ministry, Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship, which gives opportunities to develop skills and knows more about skills development program and trainings. And we can proudly say this, that India is not far ahead of any country. Those who don't know I want to tell them that India also have 37 sector skill councils with the help of NSDC, National Skills Development Council. We have 37 skills councils, sector skill councils for different sectors. And you can have a knowledge about it on going on NSDC website, and you can go through that. And whatever your favorite field is, you can get training, formal training into that, and you can go ahead with your different ventures. And we are also fortunate to get associated with some of the popular sector skill councils. One of them is MEPSC, that is Management and Entrepreneurship and Professional Skill Council, with Colonel Anil Kumar Pokhriyalji. He's the CEO of MEPSC. And then we also got opportunity to got associated with Media Entertainment Skill Council, Mr. Mohit Soniji. Very much thankful to him that we hold a long webinar series with MESC, in which we invited different trainers and experts from media field, media and entertainment field. Also, we are associated with Beauty and Wellness Sector Skill Council, and we are very thankful to the CEO of Beauty and Wellness Sector Skill Council, ma'am. So with this, what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to tell our audience, those who are watching us live on YouTube channel, is that a knowledge without wisdom, an education without gaining knowledge, wisdom, is still incomplete. It, like we say, that if we don't have wisdom, knowledge is nowhere existing. Same ways we say, if you have not learned skills in your life, and it is in this growing era, in this 21st century, I should say that if you have not learned the global skills and the life skills, so you are something is missing in your life. So our core focus is global skills and competencies, and for that we are presenting you all our webinars from Monday to Sunday on different topics, so that somewhere or other ways we bring some kind of awareness in all the people. So here is the canvas of our program, which we start from Monday 9:30 with Vishwa Guru Bharat song. जैसा मैं आपसे पहले भी जिक्र कर रही थी, and I've shared with you, this song, its lyrics, its music, and its composition is commendable. I would request every one of you to once watch this song, listen to it, and you can feel the vibes of why we say that Vishwa Guru Bharat. It gives that proud in us that yes, our Bharat is really a Vishwa Guru. And from there, we move ahead with different series, whether it is on water conservation, on related to religious part of India, or not only religious, but ethnic and Vedic part. When we talk about Swami Vivekanand series, value education, Srimad Bhagavad Gita on Sunday, and then waste to resource management that you have watched in the afternoon today, and then the ASEAN series, and now we have come up with MSME part. And also very soon we are starting with a very new series of cinematic tourism, where we introduce to you, all of you, with eminent speaker Shri Manmohan Singh ji, who is a cinematographer, producer, director, and writer of Indian cinema, especially associated with Punjabi cinema and Bollywood. So with this, here's the canvas, and we request you all to please give your suggestions, your helping hand, and your valuable views on our website and on our email ID that is there, gsmotivator@icsi.asia, so that we can improve in our programs and we can bring many new things for you to bring more awareness and making this education relevant series, really a successful one. Obviously, we have with this, our main motive for 2021 is teachers and youth empowerment, and that's why our main focus is making education relevant with all the different components of service industry, whether it is MSME, technology, research and innovation, skills and competency, and capabilities. There is a new word that has come, not just skills, competencies, but capabilities as well. And along with all, I should mainly focus on health, wellness, water management, and women empowerment. And ICSI has brought the very first finishing school concept, finishing lab concept in India. And we are looking forward to associate it with different schools and different colleges wherever we can give these services, and we can establish finishing school to bring up skills in youth. Along with that, we can also help in setting up incubation center, Atal tinkering labs, and finishing school, as I talked. We believe that in this Corona period, it has given us a lesson that the Golden Triangle is no more Delhi, Jaipur, Agra. It is FHEL, that is food, health, digital education, and e-learning. With not many research, we have come up on this conclusion, and I'm very hopeful that everybody who's watching the slide and this program is very much accepted to my views. And also, we would like to say we have coined a new term that B2B is no more business to business, it is back to basics. So back to basics. We have just gone through this program at 3 p.m. where we have focused on Northeast. And after this 5 p.m. Wonderful program on MSME, we will move on to our historical part with Mahan Swatantrata Senani Lala Lajpat Rai ji, which will be presented by Dr. Arun Mehra ji. And much awaited program for this evening is International Women's Week celebration that we are holding from 1st to 8th March. And being a woman, I'm very much proud of this. And I believe that each and every girl and woman in this world, in this planet Earth, on this planet Earth, is actually a leader. And she is unique in her own self. So great salutations to all the women on this planet Earth. And with this, as we have continued it with from 1st March till 8th March, so in consecutive 7th day, on 7th March, that is today, we are holding this session with our NRI women panelists, those who are coming across the world. And with them, we have very special guest person, Miss Sunita Bhuya, who will educate us that how leadership can be taught with the help of music. This is something very wonderful, and I request all of you to please look into this program and do learn from her that do music really teaches leadership. This is something which will very meaningful. And very close to our Major Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji, who is our Director General. He is from the army background, and this is very close to his heart. And also I have learned many things when I'm being associated with this particular program that we are conducting, because the education, the budget that has come on February 2021, and it has given that government is planning to open 100 Sainik schools. So we have from 2nd of Feb, just after one day, we have started with this series in which we brought so many army personals, those who educate us that how to empower the private sector and the PPP mode to open this Sainik schools. As I have told, please go through this song, Vishwa Guru Bharat, wonderful composition, and also our tourism song that we do at 12:30 daily. And with this, once again, I would like to say, whatsoever human mind can conceive and believe can achieve. So we believe in that, and we really want to motivate each and everyone with this thought. Please imbibe this deep into inside yourself and help us and make your life more meaningful. This is what our motive is. We want that everybody should be happy. We want that everybody should prosperous. We want that everybody should healthy. And with that, everybody should be united and focused in a single channel to make our India, our Bharat, a prosperous one and a happy one. And you are most welcome to give your suggestions on innovation@icsi.asia. And you can also WhatsApp if you have any queries, any suggestions you want to give us. So with this, I once again stop my share, stop slide share, and I request Shri Ravindra Nathji to further proceed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chitra. That's truly a wonderful program, and as I was watching the whole spectrum of programs which we have been doing, I was reminded of the words of Vince Lombardi, the American football coach, who had said, most people fail because of a lack of desire, not because of lack of desire, but because of a lack of commitment. And it is the sheer commitment of Dr. Gulshan Sharma and team at ICSI, sir, that we have been engaged with different strata of society in all these 700 plus programs, which we have been doing ever since the pandemic broke out. And it is the same spirit with which we have a sense of commitment which we have towards the women, that ICSI is celebrating the International Women's Week, culminating tomorrow. And on this, I was reminded of the words of Swami Vivekananda, who had said, there is no chance for the welfare of the world unless the condition of a woman is improved. It is not possible for a bird to fly on one wing. To all the ladies on Mother Earth, I bow my head in regard and salutation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also share with you that we are very privileged to have with us today Shri Uttam Ganguly ji, the Managing Director of Ben Joints Private Limited, Bhopal. Mr. Ganguly did his civil engineering from MACT, MACT, which is now Manith. Ganguly sahab, Manith happens to be the name of my grandson. So that is very dear to me. Manith Bhopal in 1976. First, let me tell you about his company, and I was truly delighted to read all about that, sir. Ben Joints Private Limited is an ISO 9001-2015, ISO 14001-2015, and OHSAS 18001-2007. Ben Joints is engaged in the manufacture of subcritical and supercritical pressure parts, turbine, integral piping, and piping spool fabrication that finds application in nuclear and thermal power installations and hydrocarbon sector. So we are really very proud to have you and your company, which is doing such a wonderful job. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you more about Mr. Ganguly. Mr. Ganguly is a trained lean manufacturing in Japan. He is the past chairman of Indian Welding Society Central Zone, director of Govindpura Common Effluent Treatment Plant, Bhopal. He is the ex-director, Govindpura Lean Consultancy, past president, Govindpura Industries Association, past chairman, CII Madhya Pradesh State Council, and past president, Indian Institute of Industrial Engineers. Ladies and gentlemen, as I was reading the achievements of Mr. Ganguly, I was reminded of the quote of Jack Welch. Jack Welch had said, before you are a leader, success is about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is about growing others. And that is what Mr. Ganguly is truly doing. He has become a stalwart by himself, but he's making others so grow to a level that he can say proudly, well, they were all my understudies and I have made them come up. And so that is the reason which makes us equally proud to have you on our program today, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. I also take this opportunity to welcome all the participants to the program from India and abroad. Greetings to all of you. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss a very important topic, how to make MSMEs competitive. And that is where we would be having the great insights and great experience of Mr. Ganguly. But then one thing which we all agree in the present juncture is, as the Indian economy emerges out of the havoc played by COVID pandemic, our MSMEs, which were the most affected, are gradually limping back to normalcy. We do agree that MSMEs contribute a lot in terms of the manufacturing sector. They're often called the backbone of the Indian economy because it is being said that they are contributing 45% to the manufacturing output, 40% to the total exports, and they give a huge employment opportunities. At times I wonder, sir, when were these figures taken? Because from time immemorial, we have been reading out and rattling out these figures year after year. I wish the latest figures do come. Because at one point in time, I was reading the number of MSMEs in India are perhaps going to be less than the number of MSMEs in Indonesia. Indonesia says they have 64 million MSMEs, and India, because of its old census figures, says we are 63 million. I hope the government quickly picks it up and corrects the figures of the Indian numbers. And that is where I often urge the Indian associations, the industry associations, to please pool your numbers at one portal so that we can say India is not only the biggest in terms of the youth in our country, India is also the youngest and the biggest in terms of the Indian MSME sector, more than anywhere else in the world. But the various deliberations which we have with the industry, with a diverse set of MSME stakeholders, it has been repeatedly flagged that MSMEs as individuals or collective entities lack the abilities that large enterprises have to advocate on economic and functional issues, and therefore are at the adversely on the receiving end on unexpected actions of other stakeholders. They are always at the receiving end, I believe, whether it was the COVID pandemic, whether it is the banks, or whether it is even payments coming in time. But yes, it has also been complained very often that a complex and unfriendly business ecosystem pushes small entrepreneurs more towards the informal and unregistered segment. This is a challenge which I very often felt. I encountered it whenever I used to travel abroad in my capacity as CMD and SIC. People used to wonder, why is it that India has a formal sector and an informal sector? Quite a challenge for me to explain them, but somehow I used to wriggle it out of it. But then we all understand, and I'm sure Mr. Ganguly would agree with me, that the informal sector is growing faster than the organized segment. People say it is growing 5 times bigger than the formal sector. We must reverse this trend. But the primary concerns of the entrepreneur, which normally should be to run the enterprise, the prevalent ecosystem demands huge on terms of time and resources of an entrepreneur which is engaged in it. Hence, despite various initiatives taken, there is a need for a common understanding amongst policymakers and administrators in multiple departments of the local, state, and central governments to help create an ecosystem that enables and assists entrepreneurs through the life cycles. It was not very long back, sir. It was, I think, 2 or 3 days back when even the Prime Minister was talking and saying and admitting, I would say, that the compliances should be made softer when it comes to small businesses. It is being acknowledged, but I hope it will translate into actions which will make the lives of our MSMEs much simpler. But then today, when the world looks towards India, considers itself to be a manufacturing hub, and suddenly all of us are go gung-ho over it, that I think what is going to happen, maybe we are going to be bigger than China in terms of a manufacturing hub, there is a lot which is to be done. And unless we really ease out things for the small MSMEs, things are not going to change so drastically as we envisage them to happen. But we must appreciate the steps taken by the government. We must appreciate that the government is already seized of these challenges. And it was only a few years back that the Government of India, Ministry of MSME, implemented the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Program to support the micro and small and medium enterprises in their attempt to become competitive, in their attempt to scale up the global levels. And this program of NMCP holds a host of programs into them, almost 10 programs. But the leading program, which I believe is, it's about lean manufacturing competitiveness scheme related to MSMEs. This is what we believe has really benefited a lot of MSMEs. A lot of MSMEs have taken advantage of it. I remember my co-director, who happened to be an independent director on the board of NSIC, used to always advocate lean manufacturing as to what Indian MSMEs badly need. But very often, sir, I find that the challenge is not the scheme and its implementation. The biggest challenge today is the awareness about the scheme. The people at large do not get to know what the schemes are available, where they are available, how they can be touch based with, and that is what it needs to be done. We will be hearing very soon from Mr. Ganguly about what lean manufacturing has done and how he has really helped people take advantage of it with his experiences. But largely, the objective of the scheme has been, of lean manufacturing, has been to increase competitiveness through using the lean manufacturing techniques, reduce waste, increase productivity, introduce innovative practices for improving overall competitiveness, and inculcating the good management systems and imbibing a culture of continuous improvement. I'm sure all and more is what we are very eager to hear from Mr. Ganguly. Because, sir, I believe there is no better person than you who can really guide MSMEs about all these factors as to how they can really translate their efficiency levels and become so very effective and efficacious in what they are doing. Otherwise, it's the one-man army. I say all Indian MSMEs are almost equivalent to the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the Hollywood movies. He fights out everything. He fights out the production. He fights out getting payments. He fights out the sales. But then when there are schemes like this, which really make life easy for them, that's what we are eager to hear from you, sir. Without much ado, sir, I welcome you and welcome you wholeheartedly to share
Thank
your
you.
experiences. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really my privilege and honor to be on this forum. And I really hope that whatever I know about lean would add value. And I particularly am looking at the small scale manufacturing sector where I belong. Let me talk about my company. We have 200 odd people and we have 2 locations, both in the same industrial area. And as you read out, I mean, it's the nuclear and oil and thermal sector in which we are, and we do critical piping fabrication. And the story of lean goes back to 2005, 2006, when I was introduced to a book by James Womack that is on lean thinking. I really recommend, if you have a notebook, you can write down the name of this particular book. And as I was reading through it, I remember that I could not really grasp much. But after a couple of pages, suddenly the light went on. And I went about implementing lean manufacturing concepts in my company without any training myself. Let me say that lean is written as, of course, L-E-A-N. And the consultant who had visited my company, he said that there are certain elements in your company which makes it viable to start doing lean implementation over here. So when I teach lean, I usually use a chalkboard, and I say that when you write L-E-A-N, in the beginning you put a very big C. So what you have is clean. So there is a very, very deep connection between a spanking clean, well set up company and lean manufacturing. If the company is not clean, forget lean, that's it. The second thing is, most of the concepts of lean are counterintuitive. They go against the grain of common sense. So accepting these concepts becomes very, very difficult. The third is that the lean concepts can exist in an organization where people are following lean, but they themselves really do not understand what is going on. The amount of resistance that I faced when I started to implement lean in my company is unbelievable. It was like a stone wall. And maybe people started to suspect that something has gone wrong with You know, so in fact, my younger brother, who looks after finance, was taken aside by my senior staff, and he was told that Uttam Sahab seems to be speaking some odd things, and I think it's too much of stress. So you have your sister living in the US. Why don't you back him up to US for a couple of months? Maybe he will repair himself and come back. You know? Because I was already married, that was not an option. There's also one treatment given to people who gone off their bonkers to get married. Anyway, so one concept is that, you know, in a system of processes, you try to figure out which is the slowest process. And having found out which is the slowest process, you slow down every other process down to the slowest one. Now, we as engineers are hardwired to produce as much as possible from every resource that you have. Now, if somebody comes along and tells you, like, this is a machine, you bought it for maybe $1 crore or what, and it can churn out huge quantities of materials. Now, you slow it down, Instead of paying so much salary to this guy, no, you look at the other processes. You see, the material goes through so many steps, so you slow down everything down to the slowest process. The other concept is, between two processes, there shall not be any inventory. Now, when I first implemented these concepts, we were doing some pipe bending and coil fabrication. So let me give you a background on this. So we had a tube bending machine. It was a CNC tube bending machine, very expensive and capable of churning out huge volumes of bent tubes in a very short period of time. And then it used to go into assembly, that is basically welding and then radiography and further to hydraulic testing and so on. So there used to be volumes of inventory between the welding station and the bending station. And then down the line, of course, whosoever could produce as much. In fact, we used to force people कि तुम 110 किया आज तुम 120 करके दिखाओ शाबाश बेटा and so on. And I remember how frightened I was. On a given day, I went to the shop, and the shop which I was so used to seeing in an ocean of inventory, suddenly everything had disappeared. You could hardly see material in the shop. And I told myself, Uttam Babu, तुमने कुछ कबाड़ा तो नहीं कर दिया. Nobody to tell me what to do, you know. And I was resolute in what I was trying to do, but getting people on board was really a problem. I mean, I just can't explain what kind of a resistance I had to face. But tell you one thing, our final product is basically a large crate, maybe about 20 feet by 10 feet and 10 feet high, weighing about 10-15 tons. It's amazing that it used to take something like 40 to 45 days for the first crate to be completed. We were able to complete those crates every other day. And there were 54 people working on the line, and they used to work 10 to 12 hours. That was reduced and has been reduced further. But that time it was reduced to 14 people working 8 hours a day. It's unbelievable. I mean, when I dish out these figures, at the back of my mind, I am a bit concerned that people who listen to these statistics might well start to imagine that he is fibbing. But this is the reality. I mean, in my lifetime, is the first time it happened that supervisors came to me and said, "Sir, एक बात बताऊं?" क्या है बताओ? Sir, आदमी ज़्यादा है. आपने अपने करियर में भी आपने ये वर्ड सुने नहीं होंगे. स्टाफ जाता है. It's such an amazing set of concepts that if you are able to implement it, you will see how much of waste there is in a system. I'm reminded of Peter Drucker's words that business is not about maximization of profit. It is about avoidance of loss. It's a bit difficult to understand what this great man was telling. But what he was essentially telling is that in your system, the way in which you function, there are such a huge amount of waste. If you are able to remove it, it's not waste in the terms of cut pieces and all that, but waste in terms, mostly in terms of effort. If you are able to remove it, you make a lot of profit. Now, as you know, I'm not in a monopoly, and I have competitors, and they only know from my customer that this particular vendor, he follows lean principles, and he's very comfortable with competitors coming to his company. You can go and learn. Nobody ever came to me, whatever might be the reasons. But the thing is that it's almost at the same price that the customer gives out orders to different vendors. Other vendors are struggling with the price structure. In the same price structure, with less manpower, with less resources, with less space, and far, far, far superior quality, we are able to manage a reasonable profit on these prices, which we keep closely guarded secret, and I hope they are not online. So there's another thing that I have done post-COVID, if I may share with you, that in groups of 15 people, I am giving talks on various aspects of manufacturing, and there are 14 lectures that I give. And the first lecture is on human dignity and on the right of an individual to work with self-respect, about the company's policies of truthfulness, transparency, and so forth. I think they are in some sense foundational in creating an organization that can go to the next level. And one lecture, it may surprise you a lot, is on the meaninglessness of common sense.
Wow.
Okay, so now if I say that common sense is meaningless, it is incumbent on me to say, support what I'm telling. So I am a student of astronomy, and I have got a model of the sun and a model of the earth in my training room. And I tell them that by common sense, earth is stationary, it is flat, and the sun goes around the earth, and sun and moon are of the same size, and so on and so forth. So what I am basically trying to tell them is that lean manufacturing concepts have nothing to do with common sense. You need to have a deeper understanding of these principles. And it's on the basis of this only that you can proceed further. I narrate a story, I mean, you might also have heard of this, where there's a situation of drought in a village, and the river has dried out, the lake has dried out, and the well is almost at its end. And the villagers are very frightened that it's about time to leave the village because we are running out of water. So they decide to go and pray at a nearby temple, asking the rain god to bring rain into the village. And when they go there, the entire village goes there. They notice that one small kid, he's brought an umbrella with him. It's he and he alone who believes that it will rain. So is the case with lean. You have to believe that these concepts, they really, really work. It's also a question of bringing on board each and every employee in the company, total employee involvement. There's another thing which is, I think, a little bit of a problem in our country. There should not be any hierarchy in the company. The organization must be flat. It is a upside down way in which the company works. I mean, every employee is actually empowered to do improvements in the work that he's doing. They are empowered to form their own little groups, have interactions with different groups, and contribute to the growth of the organization. There are also two other tools which are prohibited in lean manufacturing. One is that you should not use fear as a tool. You will not use greed as a tool. It makes a very odd assumption that the people working with you are a frightened lot. They are not courageous, and that they are hungry for money. It's rather to make work itself so enjoyable, so empowering, that the person enjoys what he's doing. So there are certain problems which are social in nature, where management does not feel up to seeing the workforce in the company eye to eye at the same level. I mean, that kind of equality is something which is very difficult to bring about. So to convey to people at the senior level that we are all at the end of the day equal, and that the contribution has to be from every possible employee in the company, it is a difficult thing to get across. I mean, now in lean manufacturing, also typically organizations are process oriented. So what you have is a cutting department, and you have maybe a fitting department, and you have a welding department, and so on. And the material actually moves from one department to another. This is typical of almost all companies. In lean manufacturing, on the contrary, what you have is a process-oriented layout. That means you write down the process, and you make a sort of a horseshoe kind of a shape, and make the process run through that. And as I told you, if between two processes, no inventory is permitted, from one process, the material goes into the next process directly. You are not allowed to tell anything. It has to go from one process to another. The total reduction in handling, the total reduction in space is remarkable. I have been chairman of CII. I have been the president of the Industries Association, and I cannot tell you how much I try to get across the concepts of lean manufacturing to my brothers in industry, and how much of a failure I was. People just don't want to buy this idea, despite the fact that my company is very transparent. People can come over here, take pictures, take videos. They also know that it's a very stable organization, and that is very, very neat and clean. And incidentally, yesterday was a first Saturday, and personally, I will share you some videos of my company. We do not do manufacturing on first Saturday. It is a cleaning day. So all of us get onto the floor, and we wash it with soap and water, and we bring the company to a certain level of housekeeping. Thank you so much. So these are the things that I would really like to talk about. Lean is a very, very complex subject, and it requires a lot of courage, and it requires a lot of bringing on board other people also. The idea of training in batches of 15 people, it has worked very well. I mean, one is to speak in a large audience where that contact doesn't take place, one-to-one, that eye contact doesn't take place. And there are 15 lectures, and so over a period of maybe 2-3 weeks, it gets over, and then another batch comes in. It has worked miracles in our company. I mean, we had achieved a certain level of efficiency, and we brought it to another level.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful, sir. Your story is truly inspiring, and what I had heard about you and what I could gather after speaking to you before this program, I really find that lean is so very relevant for the Indian industry. You started with making it clean. You said add C to it. And that is what we largely find in the Indian MSMEs when you visit them, that you at times you have to find a space where you would like to sit. They're so filthy. If I may use a very strong word.
Yes.
And
the English dictionary does not have enough adjectives to explain the situation.
And that is what I wanted to understand from you, when the results are so wonderful, so I would say so attractive when you do it, And when you say people come and find your organization, they can come and see it. Even your competitors can do that, leaving aside the pricing and those parts of it. The financial angles, you leave it to your brother. So rest of the things you would like to show them is this is how we have changed from what we were to what we are. And why is it, sir? What is the mind block that people do not adopt lean?
In one sentence, I would say the application of common sense comes in the way.
Because there is the government which is prepared to give the money. There's nothing which is going to really come to there in terms of the cost also. And if we do it together in an industrial area, I believe, and what I used to gather whenever I used to travel abroad, the biggest difference from an Indian industrial area to any industrial estate, what they used to call it abroad, a small country like Taiwan would be so, what you call, they would showcase their industrial estates as to how do they manage it. And every floor would be spick and span.
Yeah.
And nothing would be waste from one movement to another movement. And everything entails into finances. But still, people are so reluctant when it comes to adopting all these techniques, which are being shared by the, I would say, luminaries like you who have tried and tested them, what the world is also doing. And I believe, sir, I would like to ask you, if India really wants to become Atmanirbhar Bharat, the productivity of the MSMEs has to increase.
Sir, mindset has to improve.
Yes.
The focus is not on the customer, the focus is on money. You ask anybody, why are you in business? And he will truthfully say, do paisa. If your focus is on money, the first thing that will be a casualty, I think, will be the integrity of the company. Whatever it takes, I have to make money. I mean, in my 15 classes, as I told you just now, there's one question I ask to every batch. Who has given you employment? Or they will say, company mein kaam kar rahe hain, Then I draw a picture on the chalkboard. I make a big circle and I write customer. Then I draw a line and connect to another circle. This is our company. We are here working in this company. Customer gives us orders and then we complete it and give it to the customer. Customer makes me payment. So it's customer and customer alone who has given employment.
True.
Organizations must be customer focused. Absolutely. I will narrate an incident. It's not a very old one. I buy most of my materials from India as far as possible. This was alloy steel and it had to be exported. So I bought some 70 tons from China. They gave it on time. They gave it exactly what I wanted. It was as per specification. And it had to be packed a certain way. So they did it right. And then to my surprise, 2 engineers came all the way from China to meet me. And when I went through their brochures and all that, I could make out that my requirement was actually minuscule compared to the size of the company. You can well imagine for a 50 crore company which has been around for so many years, more than 40 years, how many crores of material I must have purchased from Indian suppliers. I don't want to massage my ego, but is it not necessary that my vendors, they come and meet me and ask me? No one has ever come. So that mindset is not there. And in India, if the mill is heavily loaded, they won't pick up your phone.
Absolutely.
They will give you short supply. They will have a lot of quality problems. So there are many issues. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, nowadays a lot of anti-Chinese thought is going on. But this is my experience. If we must change our attitude before we think of anything else.
Very true. Very true.
And that kind of honesty must be there. That kind of a transparency has to be there.
But I'm sure, sir, after you have now implemented lean, even your employees are beginning to own that thing.
Yes, yes. I mean, they say it has affected our life because housekeeping, we stress housekeeping even before we start talking about lean. We teach them 5S and we teach them the concept of one. That is very, very difficult to implement. Concept of one is you shall not have more than one of anything unless there is a serious reason to have it. So in which case you will have only as much as needed. So in my life, I have one pen, one pencil, one eraser, one notebook, like that. And the way in which you reduce the mess around you, and once you reduce that, your mind also becomes very clear. If we live in an expanse of sort of junk, you can say, the way in which we think, that also becomes a bit complicated.
As you said, sir, you have been with CII also, and CII influences the government's thought process at times by giving them very constructive ideas.
Yes, yes.
What would you like to convey to our Minister for MSME, Mr. Gadkari, who is a very forward-looking and very progressive-looking minister, always looks for new things to be done, new ways it can be done. That if lean can be linked to some incentives, because people, even when they're not picking up the grants which are coming their way and are in a way affecting their total functioning, what else do you believe can be changed? Mindset, yes, it requires to be changed. You were talking about integrity, and I was getting reminded of when I met one of the group of an industrial association in the northern part of the country. We were discussing about why is it that there is a trust deficit between the banks and the SMEs. And as we were going by and we started thinking about the various things, we had introduced a scheme called the performance and credit rating. This group of industrial people, they were doing reasonably good business. The turnovers were fairly high. You know what they said? Sir ji, assi te 3 balance sheet amnan. And my spontaneous reply was, इसीलिए बैंक बिलीव नहीं करता. तो आपने जब इंटेग्रिटी की बात करी तो मुझे वो वाकया याद आ गया. But what would be your message to the industry at large and to the MSME minister as to how can these techniques be introduced? Maybe a different sort of an incentive if even money is not making them do it.
What could be a bigger incentive for a company to implement these ideas and make more money by improving efficiency and quality? I somehow feel that incentive does not work. If incentive really worked, Jammu and Kashmir would perhaps be the most productive state in the country. Nobody else gets as much of it. They used to get at least till lately. So I don't think incentive really works. I'm really a bit upset about this LMC and lean manufacturing, competitiveness and all that. They were laid down very well. Whosoever made those documents had in-depth knowledge about what they are talking about. The problem was that when I was assessing the consultants, the consultants did not know their job. So what do I do? And I'm a bit lucky. I was trained on lean manufacturing in Japan. I had even started implementing before that. So the theoretical basis of lean and the hands-on implementation, all this, perhaps I'm by chance a rare person who has both these. One is to have a huge theoretical background, have a lot of training, but have not implemented with your own hands. And I have done both. But then, no matter whatever I know, it is something I could not transfer to other organizations as much as I would really like to. So when you ask me that question, what do you think I should be telling you that you need to pass on to Mr. Gadkari? I really don't have an answer. Even a company, I mean, you also know, if you ask them, "Bhaiya pehle housekeeping kar le," some people tell me, "Uttam bhai, aap ek baar hamare company aao." मैं बोला ठीक है, सैटरडे को आता हूँ मैं. 3 महीने बाद आओ. You know what those 3 months are about? Those 3 months, that is the time they think it will take to clean up the place. वो मालूम है ना डांट खाना है, इधर बुलाएगा तो बोलेगा ये क्या है, इसको साफ करो, बाद में आता हूँ.
I can understand, sir.
क्लीनिंग करो. अभी ना हमारे पास वर्क ऑर्डर्स बहुत हैं, तो थोड़ा ये एग्जीक्यूट हो जाए. Sir, this is the month of March. You can well understand how much of pressure I am under to take a full day off from morning to night, where the customer is sitting here on my head. Physically, he is over here. You know, he is aghast. Kya kar rahe ho? You know, this is our system, no deviation. At the end of the day, they respect us for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I fully agree, sir. It's basically when you stick to the right principles, they always pay you in the long run. I'm sure, sir, your words of experience, your words of wisdom, which our participants would be hearing them now, and even when we share these videos of ours with the various MSMEs in the longer run, they come on our portal, we keep sharing with them. They would definitely be believing that there is an MSME which is supplying to such important part of our total economy, nuclear and thermal power installations. You know, it's a matter of pride that an MSME is able to reach those standards which are accepted in such what you call critical areas of operations in our country. And that is where it's nothing. It's no slipshod manners. It is only and only the commitments in terms of what you believe, in terms of what you want to implement on ground, and those principles, even if you would have seen it, learned it, but then you are practicing them. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your time for us today.
Thank you. My pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
It has been such a wonderful, what you call, sharing of experiences by you with us, and to all our participants which are there. Good that we have our Director General back. He is a young man of 20 years biologically, but I will never disclose what his age is because he has not permitted me to do that. He's all younger than us, has a severe throat problem, but could not resist listening to your words of advice and being on the show. So last Sunday, Dr. Gulshan Sharma was having fever, but still he conducted in this program. That is his passion for the MSMEs and for bringing the youth of our country in such a manner. Over to you, Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji. We are very eager to hear you. Provided your throat permits it, sir.
Most respectable Uttam Ganguly ji and Ravindra ji, it was a wonderful deliberation. I heard very carefully the whole program. And one sentence, the key word which Ganguly ji has given, we all have to be customer focused. That is the most important point. When he told that we all have to be customer focused, because somewhere we have to build a brand and we have to convey world over that if it is stamped manufactured in India, then you need not to have a second thought about it. That is the way the quality has to be built. And that will come, I think, national character has to be built. And a couple of things, everybody at every step. The other day I was wondering why Nirmala Sitharaman and why when she was the defense minister, I'm digging out a lot of documents. She wanted to set up 1,000 Sainik schools. And when she became the finance minister, it has been reduced to 100 new Sainik schools coming up in India. So I was just trying to evaluate the carrying capacity of the National Defense Academy is only 400 people. Then why do we require 100 Sainik schools? Because you will have about 5,000 students coming every year. Then I slowly and gradually realized they are trying to bring in a lot of new incubation, innovation, cyber security, a couple of other valuable inputs, which is futuristic. I'm pretty sure when these individuals will come out in the society, they may not join armed forces directly in uniform, but they'll be civil soldiers. And then national character building would be very important for all of us. That's what we have to take care of. I'm very happy, Ganguly sir, that our chamber worked very hard with Nirmala Sitharamanji earlier, and 12 sectors we identified for services sector, and they in totality were taken by Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Thereafter, Ravindra ji is basically a witness to that. 3 years I had been going in the corridors of Ministry of MSME when Dr. Arun Panda and Ram Mohan Mishra ji, they both were there. And we requested the government that, look, services sector, if it is having a considerable portion in India's GDP, the time has come. We got to bring services sector at par with the manufacturing sector in MSME. And during the thick of pandemic, on 13th of May, when she discussed and when she announced that now here onward, services sector would be at par with manufacturing. We are grateful, we are very happy. And I do not know, sir, but in a very humble way, the document which we see today, the New Education Policy 2020, I think with Rabindranath ji, it's very important. The new golden triangle is not Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, because tourism has to take a back seat, hospitality has to take a back seat, airlines have to take a back seat for some time. It is basically education, skills, and entrepreneurship. These three areas is a new golden triangle, because if we do not link all these three with each other, we are not going to have more jobs in future. There is a latest book by Mr. Rajiv Malhotra, that is Artificial Intelligence and Future Power. And he has talked about 5 verticals in that. Ministry of Electronics and Niti Aayog together have done 78 hours webinar on artificial intelligence just a couple of weeks back. I think we all got to pick up from there, because every country will have its own challenges. The country which has got a less population, they have to pack the things in a different way. But countries like China and India, we got to pack our things in altogether different way. And manufacturing sector will play very, very important role for all of us. So whatever best practices we can pick up from the world over, we got to bring in a nice packaging in the entire ecosystem. And every person in India got to be proud of it, that whatsoever we are manufacturing, if my company has manufactured, then there is no second thought. Nobody can compete with my product or my manufacturing unit anywhere else in the world. That is the way I think that we have to take into the system.
Okay.
With these words, my deep regards and gratitudes to Uttam Ganguly ji. When he was talking to Ravindranath ji, the audiobook which you made a mention of, the lean manufacturing and lean thinking, I downloaded and sent across in a WhatsApp to Ravindranath ji. The thing is, the world has moved on. The technology plays a very important role today. We are just a click away. And I personally feel the system has become so fast. The time has caught on speed and the wheels, and we all want to catch up. If we have to move ahead, I personally feel each and every person in India has to become contributor towards making Atmanirbhar Bharat. And our economy will become 5 trillion, but when we all are the partner in this system. With these words, our great gratitudes, thanks, deep regards. Thank you very much for coming today on the platform. I'm sorry I couldn't introduce you initially because I'm not keeping too well. But, well, I think doctor has advised me to speak less. So it will take a little time. It would be all right because I've been exerting too much during the pandemic, aim was reach out everybody the best possible way. India has proved we can take on any challenge. We have taken the challenge in health sector, and we can take we have taken the challenge in education sector also during the pandemic. We made sure that in a digital mode, whatever facilities are available, the system should go on. Thank you very much, sir. Our deep regards.